Good morning, children. Today we are going to start our civics new chapter, that is chapter 4. The name of the chapter is the Judiciary. So, children, you all know that in India we have federal system of governance and government has got three organs. You all know what are those? That is legislature, executive, and judiciary. Legislature makes the law, executive execute the law, and judiciary dispense the justice. Now, India has a federal system of governments, but a single integrated judicial system. The judiciary administers justice, interprets law, protects the natural rights of the citizen, and looks into the union and the state law through a hierarchy of court. The Supreme Court is at the top of this hierarchy, followed by the High Court and the subordinate court at different level of the judiciary system. So, we talk of India. We have a single integrated judiciary, that is the Supreme Court. So, we have the Supreme Court at the top level. Then we have High Court, which is for the state, and further we have subordinate court. Clear? Now, the importance of judiciary. So, the judiciary helps to settle dispute whenever there is a conflict between people or between the people and the state government, between the two states or between the state government and the union government. That is, so whenever there is a conflict between the people or between the state, what judiciary do first is solve out the conflict, or we can say settle out the dispute between them. For example, in your class, if a teacher asks an opinion from the student, then what will happen? There are many students in the class, so different students have got different point of view, right? So there will be a conflict will arise, debate will go on. So out there, class teacher or the teacher is there who will sort out the problem, right? But in a country, there are different peoples are there having different point of view. So in such a situation, conflict arises between the people. Conflict goes in such a situation that sometimes it happened to a criminal type of conflict also used to take place. So out there, what we need, judicial will step forward and who will dispense justice. Clear? Now, the judiciary, second point, uphold and enforce the fundamental rights of the citizen of India. Thus, the citizen can move court if they feel their right have been violated. So whatever our fundamental right is there, like right to freedom of speech, right to religions, right to speech, right to education, so all this right used to be protected. So nobody out in the country or in the world is there who can take away our this fundamental right. If such situation arise, then the judiciary will take step. Clear? Now, third point is that the Supreme Court is the final interpreter of our Constitution. It is also empowered to declare a law null and void if it goes against the principle and ideals of our Constitution. So, if Parliament make law like that law which is against the Constitution, so at that time our Supreme Court will declare that law as null and void, which means that the law has got no importance. Okay, so what we understand that the parliament, if it's making any law, should not go against our constitution. Clear? Now next is our need for independent judiciary. So the framers of our constitution have kept the judiciary independent of the legislature and the executive so that it can check the misuse of power by the other two organs of the government. Secondly, impartial justice is possible, which means that first one, it can check the misuse of power by the other two organs of the government, which means which is our other two organ, executive, which execute the law, and legislature, which makes the law. So if they are trying to misuse their power, then the judiciary has entire right to make all those law as null and void. Clear? And also secondly, we have got impartial justice is possible. Obviously, we have single integrated judiciary in our country. So, bias and unbiasedness, nothing will be there. That is, there should be impartiality. No partiality will be given to a particular region, caste, grade, to any group. Okay, so next we are going to start with Supreme Court. Clear? The Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court is at the apex of the judicial hierarchy. Delhi, the national capital, is the seat of the Supreme Court. It makes the final decision, which are then abide by all the court of our country. So it means that all the final decision is to be taken by whom? By the Supreme Court, and other court like the High Court and other subordinate court have to follow it. Clear? Now, next we have got the composition. What are the compositions of the Supreme Court? Now, the Chief Justice head the Supreme Court. Like in a class, a monitor is there who used to control the class, isn't it? So, in the Supreme Court, who is the head? Chief Justice. And a maximum of 30 judges assist him. That means 30 judges assist whom? Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Okay. Next, the appointment. The President appoints the Chief Justice in consultation with those judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court whom he deems necessary. Clear? That is who appoint the Chief Justice. That is, the President has got the power, or we can say the right, to appoint the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And if the President think that he need to take advice from the judge of the High Court or from other judge of the Supreme Court, then he can consult with them if he feel necessary. Now, other judges are also there who has been appointed by the President in consultation with the Chief Justice. Clear? Now, eligibility. So, what criteria is required to be a judge of the Supreme Court? First one is that he must be a citizen of India, must have experience of at least 5 years as a judge of the Supreme Court. That means, to be the judge of the Supreme Court, you must have an experience of 5 years as a judge of a High Court, or at least 10 years as an advocate of the High Court. If not as a judge of the High Court for 5 years, then he must have the 10 years of experience as an advocate of a High Court, or to be a distinguished jurist in the President opinion. Clear? Now the terms, that is the tenure to be the judge of the Supreme Court. There is no fixed terms of office for the Supreme Court judge. They serve till the age of 65. That means how long the judge of Supreme Court used to survive? That is for 65. Now the Supreme Court judge can be removed by the President on the ground of misuse of the office, proven misbehavior, or incapacity. That is, the President has got the right to appoint the judge of the Supreme Court. Then he has got full right to remove the judge of the Supreme Court if he found the judge misuses office, proven misbehavior, or incapability. Okay. Now the process of removing the Supreme Court judge is called impeachment. Clear? That is the process. This impeachment involves a motion which contains the charge against the judge. That means a voting system is to be there. That is, if 2/3 majority of the member present and voting in both the houses of the parliament. That means from both the houses of the parliament they used to vote, and if 2/3 of the majority has voted against him, then he has been bound to remove from his post. Clear? Now we have jurisdiction. That is, jurisdiction refers to the scope of authority of the Supreme Court to carry out judgment and enforce law. The Supreme Court enjoys the following jurisdiction. Now, see children, case is basically divided into 3 parts. What are those? That is original jurisdictions, appellate jurisdiction, and third one is the advisory jurisdiction. Now, when we talk about original jurisdiction, it means that original case can be brought directly or straight to the Supreme Court. Clear? That is, it's not important that the case was first discussed in the High Court or in the subordinate court. It can be brought directly in the Supreme Court, and it is also known as the first case. Cases like dispute between 2 states, dispute between the union government and one or more state government, case which concern the violation of the constitution by the government or anyone else, issue of rights for the enforcement of fundamental. So these are the cases which have been brought under the original jurisdiction. Clear? Now, secondly, we have appellate jurisdictions. So out here, the case which goes to the Supreme Court through appeal, which means the hearing of case was first must be done in the High Court or in the subordinate court. And out there, if final decision is not taken, then it goes to the Supreme Court. Clear? Now the Supreme Court, being the highest judiciary authority, has the power to revive the decision of the High Court and give its own judgment in matter of civil and criminal case. Clear? Now comes the advisory jurisdiction. Understood about the original and appellate? Now we have got the advisory jurisdiction, which can be called as advisory function also of Supreme Court. Why? As Supreme Court has a full power to advise the President on the matter like of diplomatic matter or on the matter of national importance. Clear about advisory jurisdictions? That is, the Supreme Court records and print all its proceeding and judgment. Thus, it is also function as a court of records, and these judgments serve as a law and can be cited by the subordinate court throughout the country. Clear? Now, last we have the judicial revive. That is, judicial revive is the power of the Supreme Court to examine what? The validity of the law that was been passed by the union and the state. A law can also be annulled if found incompatible with the constitution. Understood, children, till Supreme Court? So in our next class, we will be discussing the High Court. Okay? So thank you.